Hey, what's up guys, Chad Trades here. In this video, I want to show you how I made just over $1,100 in around 15 minutes day trading the S&P 500. So not only will I be showing you my day trading recap, where I entered, where I exited, but also all the confirmations I use, where I got my levels, and pretty much just going over my system that allowed me to actually enter this trade. So that is one of the things that's really helped me with day trading, is putting together certain systems or a setup that I have to follow in order to enter the trade, rather than me just kind of, having a bias and guessing where the price would go. So that being said, I'm going to go into all that in this video. Let's dive straight into it. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I trade futures. So as you can see, I was trading the micro ES today, which is basically just the S&P 500. And as you can see, made around $1,100, and I traded around 19 contracts of the micro ES. So that being said, let's go ahead and go into this recap. So the first thing I actually look at when it comes to actually, taking a trade is I want to establish where the levels are, all right? So this is pretty obvious, but sometimes, you can draw the wrong level and it can really screw up your actual entry point, right? So anyways, let's go ahead and go into how I found the level from today. So usually when I'm creating a level, I want like two different confirmations that that level will actually work, all right? So first off, let's just go into this. As you can see, we're on a 5-minute time frame. Let me move myself. So this is the past few days. As you can see, the S&P 500 has been selling off. We've been trading under the 5-minute, 200-day moving average. And as you can see, yesterday we had very aggressive buying off this level after we had, a big sell-off, right? So we had aggressive buying off this level. And once I saw that, this is where I actually drew my zone last night before I went to bed. Now, if we come to today, right, this morning during pre-market, as you can see, the market opened at 7:30 my time. So at pre-market, as we can see, if I zoom in here, right, we had very aggressive selling at the same level. So this level we know once acted as support yesterday. And now not only did we break that support, but we also had aggressive selling there. So what we tend to know is old support tends to be new resistance, right? So that was one confirmation that this is the level. Plus we also had this aggressive selling. So this is where I actually got my level. And then we also had a demand zone that was formed a few weeks ago down here as well. But again, I didn't really want to focus on longs today because it would be going against the trend. As you can see, we've been selling off all week. And typically I want to trade with the trend. So those are the levels, right? That's the first thing you need to do. By the way, guys, I share my pre-market levels every single day for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ inside my free Discord community. If you guys want to join it and, kind of see my levels every single day, maybe that's something you struggle with. Like I said, our Discord group is completely free and open to the public. If you want to join it, that will be the second link in the description below. All right, so the second thing I'm looking for after I establish my levels is confirmations used to actually enter the trade. So what allows me to actually enter this position and short 19 contracts of the micro ES? Well, obviously this is going to be confirmations used, right? So typically the more confirmations you have, the higher probability the trade will actually work. But I have to make sure before I even look at confirmations, I want to make sure we're in our key level that I established that I want to actually trade on. Okay, so now let's go into the 1-minute chart and let me show you where the market opened. Okay, so the market opened 7:30 my time, where you see the volume kick in. And as you can see, we shot up straight to this level and we got there basically within 12 minutes of the market opening. So now at this point, we're in this level, and this is where you kind of have to think fast, especially if you're day trading and the market first opens, right? What are the confirmations? Well, we can see just a couple confirmations right off the bat. Number one is we're lined up with this 200-day moving average, right? So this EMA line. Number two, we're also at VWAP, which could also act as resistance. If we go to pre-market, as you can see, these lines were kind of acting as resistance here. So those are some confirmations. We also had some reversal candles, right? So if we kind of zoom in here, we can see anytime we got into this level, right, we kind of wicked up and we closed down here, got sold off. This candle didn't really tell us much. And then this candle, once this candle closed, this is where it actually got into this trade. As you can see, there's pretty much no buyers on this candle. We wicked up and immediately got sold off. So to write down the confirmations that we had so far, right, we already know we're in that key level that we're looking at. The first confirmation I kind of already covered was with the trend. Our trade went along with the trend because we're shorting the market. The market's been selling off all week. All right, and we're under the 5-minute moving average. So that was the first confirmation. Second confirmation was that 1-minute EMA line. Another confirmation was VWAP also lined up with our resistance level, right? So the EMA and VWAP were kind of acting as resistance. And lastly, we had some reversal candles. So that was essentially all the confirmations I used. Now, like I said before, usually the more confirmations you have, the higher probability the trade will actually work. Okay, so for me, I want to make sure that not only are we in that key level, but we also have at least 3 confirmations, right? Whether that's VIX divergence, whether that's the trend, whether that matches up with an EMA line, maybe it's a 5-minute time frame EMA line or 1 minute. Maybe we're near the VWAP, maybe we have some reversal candles. Maybe it can be a pattern like a double bottom or a double top. In this case, we didn't really have that. But I always want to make sure that we have at least 3 confirmations to take the trade. In this case, we had 4. All right, so that was the second thing that I needed to have before I actually entered the trade. Now, there was actually one more thing I actually look for before entering a position, and it kind of goes hand in hand with levels, right? And I'll explain that. So what this third thing is going to be risk reward. Now, typically when you're entering any level, this is why I only like to enter in key levels, is you're going to have a good risk reward ratio, right? So I always want at least a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, meaning if I plan on making at least 1,000, I want to risk 500, right? 2-to-1. Now, the reason why being in a level helps with your risk reward is because if you're in that key level, you know exactly where to actually put your stop loss, right? So if we go to the chart again, we can see, let me just kind of zoom out here. Basically what I want to do, since I got a pretty good entry, I entered right after this candle closed. So I got my entry at around 44.48. What I'd like to do is put my stop loss a few points above the actual highs, right? So as we can see, the high would have been 44.50. So I would have had my stop loss at around 44.52 or 44.53, somewhere in this area. You always want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room because obviously, you know, we could have made a new high again and then sold off, and then you could have got stopped out if your stop loss was, let's say, right here. All right, so you always want to have a little bit of wiggle room, which is why I like to enter at these key levels, because it makes it so I don't have to risk too much and I can put my stop loss enough for me to actually have that wiggle room like I was saying before. Right, so anyways, entered around 44.58. So I was risking around 4 or 5 points. And as you can see, where would my reward be? Well, obviously the reward would be near this support level where we had this aggressive buying right off the open, right? So if we go down here, we can see, well, where is that at? That's anywhere from, 38 all the way down to 36. So you can see on this trade, I was basically risking 5 points to make 10 points, right? So that was my 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. So once I saw all of that, all of this kind of matched up at the same time. We're in that key level. The key level had multiple confirmations. Then once we're in that level, we had multiple confirmations to actually enter the trade, which was all of these things. And lastly, we also had that nice risk reward ratio. Now keep in mind, this sounds super simple, but the reason why I think a lot of people struggle with trading is because sometimes it can be hard to read all this in real time, right? There's kind of a lot of things to look at. So this is why I recommend, kind of just following one setup, one strategy. You're going to be less overwhelmed. And you're going to be able to stay more focused on what confirmations you're actually looking at, right? So me personally, I look at like 5 confirmations, and if I have 3 of them, I'll take the trade, right? So I keep it super simple. I don't have 10 different indicators like some people do. Again, you want to keep it as simple as you can, especially as a beginner. So anyways, guys, that was my day trading recap. That's how I made just over $1,100 in around 15 minutes day trading the S&P 500. And real quick before you guys go, if you guys want a free copy of my day trading guide with something I just put together, it goes over, basically how I find my levels, the confirmations, how I use them, and exact setups I follow. So if you guys do want a free copy of this day trading guide, I think it's super helpful for beginners or just people who are struggling with trading. All you have to do is go to the first link in the description below and you can download it right then and there for completely free. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Happy to answer anything for you guys. With that being said, as always, I will see you in my next video with another day trading lesson.